for more than 90 seconds. Am I clear?
No.
Talk to me. A new horror A24 film has released. If you haven't seen or heard about this movie, well, then you're lying. Talk to Me has proven to be a certified banger. Which does bring up a very important question. Why does Hollywood constantly only put out half-finished films with directors who don't care? Let's get into it. Welcome back, I'm Sippin' Ice, and yes, I do realize this does not apply to every horror film, but I think we can all acknowledge that it's become more common. Don't worry, this video will contain every spoiler. I'm kidding. Dog, I'm kidding. I actually won't spoil anything about this movie for those of you that haven't yet seen this film. But with high expectations for some major horror films also comes disappointment. Then we have Talk to Me coming in to break the mold. It had the makings to be your typical mainstream horror movie, but where others seem to fail, it succeeded. Why is that? I personally believe it breaks down to one major thing: the passion. Now, let me explain. Talk to Me was directed by first-time directors, the Philippou brothers, and yes, I pronounced their last name wrong.
What more do you want from me?
Danny and Michael actually have a passion for their work. The care they put into this movie was evident. Talk to Me's reviews and Rotten Tomatoes score has put the movie into the top rated films of 2023. And that's like out of every film of 2023, not just the horror films. While the plot to Talk to Me isn't anything to write home about, the movie presents psychological terror as it deals with depression and grief. I'm not the only one that noticed, because many also have pointed out the skill and the certain style that the directors brought to the table. And if you grew up on YouTube like I did, then you may have heard of the name RackaRacka. RackaRacka is actually Danny and Michael, for those that didn't know. The YouTubers turned directors have created numerous cinematic masterpieces featuring the one and only Ronald McDonald. If you have seen any of their videos, whether it's the fights, Ronald, or even the ones with our favorite superheroes, then you know just as well as I do that they take their time to make something remarkable. It's all because they care. They could easily make a half-baked video and still profit, but they've never settled over the years. And they brought that work ethic over to the big screen. I'm not saying all these other big horror directors don't care about their work as much as I'm saying that they don't take their time. They don't fine-tune the product, they simply just turn and burn in order to release as many horror films as possible year in and year out. We've been seeing this happen for years now, with plenty of people being disappointed, but with these new, and I don't like using this term a lot, but indie film directors, the horror genre has been able to start its resurgence. Look no further to Talk to Me and Skinamarink. When the directors worry more about the film instead of worrying about a deadline, we all win. And the Philippou brothers, I said it wrong again, I'm sorry, have already proved that. Not only were there raving reviews for their first ever film, but A24 has already greenlit a sequel due to the overwhelming success. And don't stress me, boy, the brothers will be returning to helm this project as well. I'm glad about it too, trust. Which, if you think about it, it doesn't really come to no surprise, as Talk to Me is on pace to beat out every fantastic horror released by A24, such as Hereditary, The Witch, and Midsommar, to just name a few. The movie's 96 Rotten Tomatoes score also is higher than the rest of A24's massive catalog. And if those numbers don't prove what care and passion can bring to the table, then I don't know what will. Now, I'm not some film producer or something, and I don't pretend to be, since I don't really know how it all works, but with everything I laid out, to me, why would these films continue to approach these massive teams that consistently produce large-scale flops on a yearly basis, instead of giving the smaller fish a try? Why shouldn't they approach the independent guys that have proven themselves to constantly take pride in their work, even with just a small, and I mean small, fraction of a budget? Maybe the reason they don't put their trust into these indie directors is simply because they want a quick cash grab. The horror franchise has been hit with a flurry of flops for this very reason. For instance, Renfield. It was supposed to be a massive success for Universal, but with the other big hitters and the fact that many fans have lost trust in these companies to produce quality horror, led to a more than $30 million loss. That's a lot of money. Like, whew. Like, even more recent than that, though, look no further than to The Last Voyage of the Demeter, another Dracula-based horror film distributed by Universal that also flopped. Yes, the plots are different, but the central idea is the same. Dracula. Before anyone comes for my throat, I love Dracula, but 2 times in a year? I'll take this with a grain of salt, but to me, this seems like they are just trying to cash in on the classic monsters. Their box office openings showed people aren't really ready for another classic monsters outing again yet. Like, give it some time. Spread them apart. This video is not my typical video, but I needed to get this off my chest. Maybe with a smash hit success of Talk to Me, Hollywood would realize that it's time to focus on the people who have a deep love for this scene. The people that have a million ideas and just want the chance to show the world what they got. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I appreciate you staying along with me during this rant. If you enjoyed, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more horror content. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you all next time.
Cause let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.